I know who my two favorite people are.
Who are your two favorite people?
Miller and Light.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like Oscar Mayer.
Oh! I like pork and beans.
Oh.
Oh!
I've got two kitty cats.
I like
They're
my
two of
kitties,
my
too.
favorite people. Except Todd's being a bastard right now. He's like 7 months old. He is every bit of a 7-month-old kitten.
Oh yeah, that's like they don't grow out of it. Guinness is still a kitten. Despite he's a big old man now.
They just get a little slower. But
Not Guinness.
yeah, Todd is literally just bouncing off walls.
Oh yeah. What a time.
Yeah, he's impossible to get it's like wrangling kittens, you know. Anyway, welcome to Adventure Twins Podcast. This is a podcast where two twins talk about one of our favorite shows, Adventure Time. I'm Jacob.
I'm John.
And today we're going to talk about Season 1, Episode 9, My Two Favorite People. This episode was released on May 3rd, 2010, written by Meriwether Williams, Timothy McKeon, and Kent Osborne. In this episode, Jake gets Finn and his girlfriend, Lady Rainicorn, to hang out together, but becomes jealous when they quickly form a bond.
Yeah, and that pretty much sums up the episode. There's not a whole lot extra to it. Jake is upset and torn because he wants to spend his time with Finn and wants to spend time with Lady Rainicorn. So he comes up with a way to get them to hang out together, and that's by getting a translator so that Lady Rainicorn's Korean is English so Finn can understand. And then Finn and Lady Rainicorn hang out a lot more together because they bond, and Jake gets jealous and grumpy, and that's pretty much it.
And then they resolve it. They realize,
they resolve the issue.
you know.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward episode.
What are your first general thoughts?
This, this is like it's a decent episode. I kind of forgot about it overall. But it's kind of like your standard. Like this is the kind of plot you can see in like any TV show, whether it's a comedy, drama, or whatever, of just like forcing two relationships to meld is hard and weird and difficult, and it's like worlds are colliding within relationships, and you hope that they just immediately click, but they don't always just click. Sometimes it's just friend groups are separate.
It's a pretty standard type of story you might see in a lot of sitcoms, you know, for all ages. I mean, it's a pretty, you know, relatable sort of issue of like, you know, two people who are important in your life not vibing.
Yeah.
Well, of course, in this one they do vibe, so that sounds like a whole different thing of I'm jealousy, and you know, jealousy is a big theme in a lot of Adventure Time. I feel like
especially these early episodes, because I think jealousy is like a hard thing for people who would have been watching this at the time. The age demographic jealousy is like this weird feeling of how to come to terms with it and identify it within yourself. I was watching Spidey and His Amazing Friends, and they just had an episode about this with Nico and the Harry Osborn were the same way. Petey was just like, why won't you guys click? You guys have this in common, and I don't know, and it's literally the exact same plot of the episode.
Yeah. When John says Spidey and His Amazing Friends, he is not speaking of the Disney Junior TV series. He is referring to the Disney Plus series, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Internally, I always call it Spidey and His Amazing Friends. Kind of like when we were reading Gulliver's Travels in school, we'd call it The Adventures of Gulliver.
The Adventures of Gulliver.
We just call it different things. Or, yeah.
Yeah, I like how this episode begins, and there's just a little science cat.
I loved the science cat.
And it's, you know, what I love about Adventure Time is how often it just drops you into the middle of something, and it's like, you don't need any, like, context for any of this stuff.
These guys always fight at 4:00 in the dot.
Yeah, exactly. It's a science cat who throws a potion at Jake and turns him into a butterfly and, like, a shark man.
The science cat, the design of that reminded me of Over the Garden Wall, the episodes where they go to school and it's all the school for animals.
All the little animals.
Almost like the same drawing and design, like, there's some connection of who designed them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the people who worked on Over the Garden Wall, there are connections to Adventure Time.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know specifically who. I'd have to think about who worked on each show, but is this the first time we get any sort of acknowledgement of who Lady Rainicorn is? I mean, she's in one of the first shots of the first episodes, but I don't think they ever acknowledge. They might something. I think she's named in the first episode.
Yeah, I think they name drop her, or maybe he makes like a one-off comment of spending time with Lady or something like that. But this is like the first one where you're like, oh, hey, Jake is in a serious relationship that he spends time with her repeatedly.
Yeah. And she speaks Korean. Which
she does speak
I
Korean.
think you get a little bit in an earlier episode, but
yeah, episode 1.
Again, this is one where it's like, oh no, she definitively speaks Korean here.
Yeah, yeah.
And can change the color of things.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. I know they tried to explain the science of her flight and like it's the sun rays and the color. She absorbs the color. I heard it. I'm just like, I don't care to commit that to memory.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked that. Yeah, she like rides on the light waves because the light color is like a reflection of light, and she can like harness those waves and fly on those. I kind of like it. It's not bad.
I did not note that, other than just like they have an explanation. I'm sure that would make sense if I took the time to process it, but I did not.
Another character shows up for the first time in this one.
There's two who show up. Which one are you talking about?
Who shows up first? Small big character.
That's Shelby the Worm.
Oh yeah, for all you Shelby fans or people who don't know who Shelby the Worm, Shelby is a worm who lives inside of Jake's viola and shows up every now and then. It's just kind of one of those, the worm who lives there.
It's like a one-off character, but suddenly will make more appearances. I know there's a couple big ones. There's the Christmas episode where Shelby is like narrating. Yeah. There's the one episode where it's all the side characters go on like a dungeon quest with Ice King, and Shelby's one of the 4. Yeah. That's a fun group. And then there's I think like Shelby's butt, because worms, like you can cut them off and they can kind of like live as their own. I want to say there's an episode about Shelby's like younger brother or something like that. I don't remember that one. That's way later on, but yeah, that becomes a thing. Shelby becomes like actually a decently sized character.
Yeah, but just like it's the worm who lives in Jake's viola who gives him advice on his woes of, feeling like he's missing out by choosing Lady Rainicorn or Finn or vice versa. Mm-hmm. I think this is also the first time they acknowledge Jake can play the viola.
I
agree.
Just
a fact about him.
So we know Finn plays the flute and Jake plays viola.
Yeah,
they can get a little band going.
I like there's a specific shot of Jake kind of worrying about, I think, not hanging out with, or being late to go hang out with Lady Rainicorn, and he's just on his bike cycling through the trees, but it's kind of on a never-ending hill, so you kind of see the curvature of the horizon. It's just kind of a cool shot, all the trees going past him. He's like right centered and whatever. I just kind of liked that one.
Yeah.
It has a certain depth to it.
I liked the underwater scene.
Yeah.
So they go to retrieve the translator underwater, and the entire scene is just the music. They cut all sound effects and everything, so you see it all happening, but it's just like the cool music in the background. I really liked that part.
Yeah, I also made note of that one. It's a really cool just action sequence. Cutting out all the sound effects kind of helps you just focus on like the animation itself, the way it syncs up with the music.
Yeah. I thought
cool.
those little...
I really like it. I like underwater, it's a fun just animation moment, which is some of the joys of cartoons, just the spectacle of it.
I like that those underwater lake nights, they kind of reminded me of those like pixie gnomes from the Enchiridion episode.
Yeah.
They kind of remind me of those. I don't know. I like them. I was picturing something different when they said underwater lake nights, but they didn't. That's not how I pictured them, yeah.
There was one line heading into that scene where Jake is like, oh, yeah, the universal translator. It's at the bottom of a lake. I can't remember why I threw it in there. Which is very funny, because the idea of like a universal translator and he just threw it in a lake. Yeah. Because it's like, even at its worst, you're like, there's no reason you should throw something like such profound technology and just, I threw it in a lake. But then you figure out why you throw it. He threw it in a lake because it can only do 3 voices, which are, do you remember?
Old man, nerdy alien, and nightmare.
Yeah. And the nightmare voice sounds like a bad death metal band. Like it's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that was an actual recording of the episode.
So he has to settle. Jake settles on. Well, I guess like old man. It's the only one where you can understand a word.
It's
Lady
yeah,
Rainicorn's saying.
weird nerdy alien is also like total gibberish, and so old man is like, oh yeah, now I remember why I threw it away is because his girlfriend now sounds like an old man, and they kept calling her grandpa.
And yeah, once they start chatting, Finn realizes Lady Rainicorn is pretty solid adventurer, and they go get free power rings from a forest wizard.
I really like the part when they get the free power rings because number
It's just
one,
kinda
how the
like,
hell
oh my
does
god, it's a
power
wizard.
rings sweet? Number one, how the hell does Lady wear rings?
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw that. They're just like kind of like on her, but if you actually take the time to look at how they drew it, I'm like, what's going on here? And then I also like were like, oh my god. So Finn says, Schmau, that force wizard is giving away free power wings. And then he can't take them off and he goes, oh, I guess they're cursed.
still pretty cool though.
That's still pretty cool.
It's just the very casual. Oh no, I guess they're cursed. That's just a very regular thing.
Yeah,
Just
very
a
regular
random
show,
forest
indeed.
wizard handing out power rings. It's very, and they make little like sparkles and fireworks.
I don't know. Some
Yeah,
fun
it's
lore.
a
There's
fun
always just something going on. The other character, we talked, said there were two.
Right?
Who's the other
yeah.
one?
Tiffany.
Jake's friend Tiffany.
Jake's going through his contacts to try and find someone that'll make Lady Rainicorn and Finn jealous of him. So he finds his old friend Tiffany. But the big twist, Tiffany's a boy and has a little shitty puberty mustache.
Yeah, get that stupid sweat mustache that's super popular right now. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I went out for Valentine's Day and literally every dude who walks in has that shitty, gross ass looking mustache. And
Yeah.
I'm like, fellas, like you can sometimes you can pull it off. I know people who can pull off a stash. Not a single person walking in could pull off the mustache.
Just a mustache or like the really shitty one?
No, just the stash.
Yeah.
But they were all like the gross looking, like the gross stashes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, I grow a mustache pretty frequently, but, like, my beard at least grows in full. So, like...
That's the thing. We can grow beards. And it
yeah,
works.
it's like, I'm not saying I can grow a nice, thick Sam Elliott mustache or anything, but, like...
No. And
You know what it doesn't look like I'm 13 trying to grow a mustache.
yeah. Yeah. Tiffany looks like it's like peach fuzz on the upper lip.
Yeah.
Not
And
even growing in thick and full with color. It's like a gross looking mustache.
Tiffany is barely in this episode.
Yeah.
Just a real punk kid. Like, you just instantly hate Tiffany.
Immediately. But Tiffany shows up. Tiffany shows up again.
A couple more times, right?
Yeah, at least a couple more times as just like a recurring like I would say C-lister villain who will just kind of like come on and just like is obsessed with being friends with Jake and kicking everyone else out, I guess. I mean, they
Yeah.
literally pulls a knife on Finn. Finn immediately is
thought
like,
that was
I don't
kinda
like
cool.
you. Hops on Tiffany and starts beating the crap out of him. And then he pulls a knife out. It's like, oh my god.
And Tiffany, like, when it turns around, you realize Tiffany has, like, a mullet. It's like a
Yeah.
shitty mustache and a mullet. And I'm like, I know those are super in right now. This is 2010. Like, this kid was, like a real punk bitch. Like, I don't like Tiffany.
Now, Tiffany sucks. I think you're supposed to not like Tiffany.
And then, you know, pretty much as soon as Tiffany shows up, he's already gone. With a very ominous exit of, like, you will be friends with me, Jake. So, who knows? Maybe Tiffany will come back. We know. We've seen the show.
Yeah. I think it's one of the very last episodes. They do arrange, like, one of the main villains, who I won't talk about because I'm bad at spoiling the show. One of, like, the final villains, like, pulls together, like, all of the villains from the show. And I think
Yeah.
that's really cool. So you get, like, Scorcher and Tiffany and all the other, like, bad guys who show up throughout the show.
I had to look up when I got to that episode through my first walkthrough. I had to look up with like, who the hell are these people? I just didn't
Yeah.
remember because like Ricardio gets pulled back. I think
I wanna
it's the
see-
only other episode he's in.
No, there's definitely one more.
Is there one more? Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely another. I think Meow comes in.
See, I don't even remember.
You
who
don't
that
remember
is.
Meow? Okay.
No. Yeah.
Scorcher, you remember because the Boing Loings.
The Boing Loings. Yeah, I remember the Boing
Boing
Loings.
Loings.
The
Everyone knows
Boing
the Boing
Loings.
Loings. The
Oh,
Boing
when we get to the
Loings.
Boing Loings. Was it like season 2? That's not super far in.
I remember you sent me that clip before either of us had even come back and rewatched the show, but that's for that episode of Scorcher.
Yeah,
and
we'll
the
get
Boing
way
Loings.
into that one.
Yeah,
And that's half of why we're doing the rewatch, is because like I only half remember half these episodes, so being able to like more intently focus on just little details, being like, oh yeah, I remember this one now.
Yeah, I just straight up forgot this episode existed until Tiffany showed up. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the Tiffany episode. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
forgot about it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like I vaguely remembered an episode when they had the universal translator. I'm like, oh, this sounds familiar.
I forgot that.
But every
I
other
forgot
detail
what the
was
kick
like,
line-
yeah.
I don't know. I just like overall, I like not Finn and Ladies. I like Jake and Ladies' relationship. I think they're
Yeah.
cute together. He very cares very much about her. It's funny.
Yeah. They're good. They're good together.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to talk about with this episode. It's pretty.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm reading through Jake.
The
I
ending
said
line.
Jake was such a grumpy Gus in this episode because he got real grumpy and he was grumpy Gus and pretty hardcore.
He was big grumpy Gus energy.
So grumpy Gus, for the listeners who don't know that reference, is New Girl. There's the episode they all go on a cruise ship together and they keep calling Schmidt Grumpy Gus. And so when Jacob and I went on a family cruise the one time, for those of us who had seen the episode and knew New Girl, we'd keep going Grumpy Gus. We'd like squeeze each other in the hips. Ooh, Grumpy Gus. And so it's just become a running joke of like when people are being grumpy, we call them Grumpy Gusses. And on my honeymoon cruise, we'd call each other Grumpy Gusses all the time.
And it's one of those, like, I haven't even seen New Girl, but like,
Oh, you
saying
immediately picked it up.
I was like, oh, Grumpy Gus, sure, yeah, this is what we're doing now. But also, it's like, kind of immediately made me less grumpy.
It did, yeah.
It's like when you're angry at someone, instead of like insulting, you just go, you're being real silly right now.
Yeah, I was
it kinda
just gonna say
it
that.
de-escalates things. So
Did we pick that up in high school or was that when we worked at camp where it's like instead of like saying anything mean, you just like you're being really silly right now. I need to tell you that, and it immediately de-escalates everything.
that had to have been a camp thing because we had to start watching our swearing because we worked with kids.
Yeah.
So there were a
Yeah.
lot of like kind of workarounds on how to not say a bunch of things we'd regret in front of children.
Sure.
So everyone's being extra silly.
We're really silly.
People are really silly.
I like their little Finn and Jake timeless clock. The little clock with Finn and Jake on it.
I think I was looking down at my computer because I only looked up and caught half a second of it and didn't rewind. So
I don't think they ever sold official ones, but I think you can buy one of those, like a handmade one on Etsy or something, and I really
that's
do
cool.
want one.
That's cool
It's
for
kind of
some
like the Jake boombox I still really want. The Jake boombox is like an old radio with a CD player, and it looks like Jake who turned himself into a boombox. And they're super rare. I have seen one pop up on eBay once, but it was like $350 or something stupid.
Yeah.
And I
Adventure
really
Time
want one, but
merch.
I'm also like, I don't know where the hell I'd put it, but I want one.
I saw there's a chain store you can find at like malls. I think it's just called Lunchbox or something. It's just like fandom merch and
Sure.
stuff like that. But you can get like there was one. It was like a baseball jersey for Princess Bubblegum, and they had like
yeah.
a nice
That's cool.
backpack that looks like Finn's backpack and stuff like that.
Yeah.
all really expensive because it's like officially licensed merch and shit like that. But I mean, this show has produced some great merchandise.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a backer for the Kickstarter project for the Adventure Time. I think you were as well. The Adventure Time,
5e or Card Wars.
not Card. I didn't back Card Wars, but there's it's basically it's D&D Adventure Time theme, but it's meant to work within D&D 5e.
Yeah. Yeah, I've backed that.
And it's not out yet. They're still working on it, but I backed that one, and I should be getting a pretty substantial package when that one arrives.
I bought the big one too.
I put some money into that one, and I have not backed. There's a current Kickstarter for the 2025 Card Wars expansion. I know they finished backing it in like 40 minutes, so it's not like it won't exist, but
I've thought about it. Like, I've thought about getting all the new stuff, but even then, it's like I have I bought the 10-year anniversary cardboard set.
Yeah.
And so I've got like everything up to that point, but they have some new stuff coming out with new cards, and I don't know if I want to do that just because I already have so much and I obviously don't play it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw there
was.
there is a
it's
co-op
lot
version
that I want to buy, but I've never played it, so I don't want to just keep buying things. I have so many board games I just don't play, which makes it difficult.
I really like the co-op thing, though. I don't know if you read into that. So one of the stretch goals was like a co-op version, so you and I could play that together and go against like I don't exactly know how it works, but you and I could team up and play against the I'll just call it the computer.
Would we have to? Oh, it's like meant to be standalone. We wouldn't have to find.
Yeah, I think you can do it
people?
standalone, and so we could choose our own like decks. And I have like 10 of the character decks because I bought again at the 10-year anniversary. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I need to look more into it, but again, I don't play it ever, so I don't want to go buy all the new crap just for that to sit on a shelf too.
Yeah, I mean, I finally got my Monopoly board collection out on a shelf, or a lot of it. It's not all on a shelf, but I got a good 20 boards out or something. So it's I collect Monopoly boards at this point.
Yeah. How many do you have? Are there still any you want?
Fuck, I was gonna count. I was like, I'm getting them all out. I should count and see how much is in my collection. I forgot to do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's anything I'm really eyeing for. The last board I think I got was Godzilla, and I think that was like
pretty cool.
I had already definitively stopped collecting, but I saw Godzilla and I kind of had to get it. I'll pick up any Star Wars one if I see it and I don't already have it. There's like one out there, but it's like not a full-size Monopoly.
Yeah. Do you remember the Monopoly Junior where you play as mice? Yeah. And I remember we had the whole set, except we were missing like the blue mouse. I'm like, red mouse. I'm like, I wonder if you could buy that on eBay. And it's like, red mouse, lot of 40 Monopoly Junior. Like, in case you ever need 40 red mouse pieces.
Yeah, no, I still have that board.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not on my shelf. I had to go through and kind of pick which ones do I want on display, which ones are going to stay in my basement.
Yeah.
Golf Signature Holes Edition. Stayed in the basement, as big of a fan of golf as I am.
I remember the Pokemon board being really cool.
Oh, that one's out. Yeah, Pokemon's out.
Yeah, that one's cool.
The Indiana Jones Monopoly's out because it comes in a wooden crate. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. A lot of the Star Wars ones were pretty cool too, but there's a ton of Star Wars Monops.
Yeah, I think there's like one I just couldn't fit. There's a Mandalorian Monopoly, also not a full board, but there's alternate rules or something you can play with, but I haven't actually played that one.
I remember growing up, because all we would play was Monopoly, because you had so many, and I would get tired of messing with all the cash and crap because it's just too much to handle. I didn't want to work that hard, so I would insist on playing with the credit card. Except you and Dad would play with the cash. So any transactions we'd make, we have to do the conversion to the credit card amounts because I refuse to play with cash. And so we'd be like, I'm going to swipe the credit card and you're going to take that money out of the bank or whatever. Like, we got stupid with it.
We did it like once and it was such a hassle. Because the credit card works on it's like 100 times the cash that you actually use. In
$1 I think's 1,000 or something. Yeah.
So you just sit there and like multiply everything and
it was
create a separate account just for him to swipe his cards. We had to bust out electronic banking Monopoly just for John to get the 2 pieces he needs to use it. Oh, I wonder if there's an Adventure Time Monopoly.
You should look that up. That's pretty cool.
Looking that one up.
I wonder. They make other Adventure Time boards.
Oh, there is.
Is there really?
Yeah. Oh.
Is
you can get it used on eBay for $50.
I mean, that's not the worst.
Currently unavailable on Amazon.
Adventure Time,
all right, I might have to go on eBay.
I searched Adventure Time board game on Amazon. All I'm seeing is Player Pack 2 of Card Wars. So it's the BMO and Rainicorn, and I already have that.
Yeah, it looks like I can get it.
Is not.
I can get it on eBay for not super expensive. Some people want like
$100.
It's not worth that yet.
Oof.
And Ice King's the Monopoly Man. Yeah, okay, I might have to snag this one. This is pretty good. They have photos of everything. That's cool.
So there on eBay right now. There is a Jake CD radio player, $365. 108 people watching it right now.
Damn.
Why has nobody bought it?
My
Does it come in the
Facebook
box?
Marketplace has started figuring out things. So I get a lot of vintage Garfield merch on my Facebook Marketplace.
I also get a lot of vintage Garfield merch.
I keep getting like, oh, this person's selling the complete Adventure Time series on Blu-ray for like $50, and I'm like, oh, that's a deal. And I look and it's in Maryland, and I'm like, why are you giving me suggestions from Maryland? I don't live anywhere near there. I'm not driving to Maryland to pick up a Blu-ray.
You should.
Yeah, maybe I should. You remember how this episode ends?
I wrote it down somewhere. I don't remember though. Oh, let's all be stupid forever.
Yeah. Jake is like, let's never be stupid again. Because they admit, it's like, oh, we were being stupid. Or I was being stupid getting all jealous. It's like, let's never be stupid again. And Finn is like, oh, I have an even better idea. Let's always be stupid forever. Or something like that. You know what? I went in there so confident, and then I didn't actually remember the line.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at other board games. There's an Adventure Time Munchkin.
Oh, I wanted to get that one. I need to play Munchkin, though.
And then there's
I just need to play board games.
Adventure Time, the Everything Burrito game. Build an epic burrito. Includes play food and tortillas. Interesting. I might look
I want to
at
say
that.
there's
I need to
Adventure
not do
Time
this.
Flux, if you've ever played Flux.
Yeah, wait, there really?
I think there's an Adventure Time Flux. I've never played it. I just know it
Adventure Time
exists.
Card Collector's Tin Fin Jake's card game?
That's got to be Card Wars, right?
It might be a Card Wars box. I'm seeing a lot of the Card Wars stuff, and people are asking arm and a leg for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that keeps popping up on Facebook for me.
Yeah, but again, it's... Oh, Connect 4 Adventure Time. How is that... What? What makes it... It's just a different color.
Yeah. Oh, the Munchkin's expensive. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Guess I missed that one.
85, 80, yeah, that's not cheap. 85 again. 70.
Oh, there it
there's
is.
one for
Adventure Time,
70.
the role-playing game on Kickstarter. You can still back it.
Yeah.
No, I think it's done. It's way done.
I think that one's done. Any favorite quotes or jokes?
I didn't really write anything. There's a
Okay.
big pit of fire I thought was kind of cool. We kind of talked all the quotes we already liked. I mean, the whole, I guess they're cursed. Still pretty cool, though. That was kind of my big one.
When the translator comes on, Jake goes, "Try saying something, toots."
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. Jake, stop sighing. You're messing up my game. Jake is just being such a grumpy Gus.
Yeah, I did notice in the game, at one point, you hear Finn go, "Ooh, I got the sword." And if you look at BMO, you can see the game they're playing is just like a one loop racing game, except their cars are just kind of going all over the map. And I'm like, you see no inkling. It's like, oh, I got the sword. And it's definitely just a racer. So why does he have a sword?
Yeah.
And I know it's a stupid little thing, but yeah, I noticed that one.
Yeah. Overall, decent episode. It's okay. It's all it's there.
It's
I
an
can relate.
episode.
I can relate to how Jake was feeling because when I would introduce my wife Josie to people and to my friends just steal Josie. And so now Josie's more friends with them than I am with my own friends. And so I'm just like, I relate to Jake in that aspect because all of my friends prefer Josie. I'm like, that's fair. Like,
yeah, I sometimes feel a little guilty because Bennett, my partner, and I were in a Pittsburgh's Rocky Horror Picture Show cast. Well, I'm a cast cousin. I'm not fully in the cast, but I am friends with a number of people in the cast, and we hang out separately sometimes without Bennett. And I'm like, man, am I just taking all of Bennett's friends? Not really. But,
yeah.
I just have friends as well. We share friends.
That was my friend Emma. I stole Emma's boyfriend from her. So now me and Patrick hang out and we just start going to movies on our own and we text each other separately and stuff. I'm like, sorry, Emma, Patrick and I are friends now. We talk about Dune and Western novels.
Yeah, I'm planning like a group cosplay with some of Bennett's friends.
Nice.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen's coming to our convention.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we're might be dropping some money there. We'll see. We'll see. Got to sell more plasma so I can afford that one.
Anywho,
any other closing thoughts? Nothing. This is
Nah.
just an episode to me. Cool. All
Yeah.
right.
We're gonna hit episodes like this where it exists.
Yeah, we somehow still managed to talk for like 30 minutes. So
Well, we got a little side.
All right, let's
at
just-
one point just scrolling eBay. So.
yeah, alrighty, let's get out of here then. Adventure Twins.